My wife and I had been married for 32 years, and I thought I knew her inside and out. I would never have imagined she was capable of betraying me in the way she did. This is a story of infidelity that shattered the foundation of a life I thought was unshakable. I've spent over 3 decades working in the fitness industry, overseeing a chain of exercise facilities. My wife and I married young after meeting in college. Together, we built a life that I believed was not only stable but ideal. She worked as an interior designer, often meeting with clients and working from home while I managed the long hours of my job. To me, everything seemed in balance. Then, out of nowhere, she began organizing a 5-day girls' trip to Miami. It was the first red flag. In our 32 years of marriage, she'd always dismissed the idea of such trips, calling them unnecessary and a waste of money. But now, she was enthusiastically planning one with a group of women I'd never heard her mention before. Something about it didn't sit right with me. Call it intuition or the natural insight that comes after decades of marriage, but I felt an unease I couldn't shake. I decided to hire a private investigator 2 weeks before her trip. It wasn't a decision I took lightly. I'd never thought I'd need to invade her privacy in this way. But my instincts told me something was deeply wrong, and I couldn't ignore them. I spent $9,999 on the investigator, and what he uncovered was worth every penny, though it broke my heart into pieces. It turned out that my wife wasn't having just one affair. She was juggling 3 different men, each of whom believed they were the only one. All 3 men had been fed the same story. She was resolving financial issues before she could leave me for them. The first man was her yoga instructor, with whom she wasn't merely attending classes. She had been meeting him at his condo 3 times a week. The second man was a supposed client of her interior design business, but their relationship was anything but professional. The third man was a real estate agent she met at a networking event, and he was the one she had planned to join in Miami for her so-called girls' trip. The investigator meticulously documented everything. Over 2 weeks, he recorded 18 separate encounters with these men, often taking place late at night when I was working long hours to provide for what I thought was our future together. She had spun a complex web of lies. To the yoga instructor, she claimed she was attending a design conference in Chicago. To the client, she said she was visiting a sick aunt. And to the real estate agent, she promised him a romantic getaway in Miami. The evidence was overwhelming: photos, recordings, timestamps, and receipts. She had even used our joint credit card to purchase new underwear for her Miami trip, scribbling the word vacation on the receipt, which she carelessly left in her car. While she was away in Miami with the real estate agent, I made my move. I went straight to my lawyer and laid everything out: the private investigator's findings, the timeline of her triple life, and the betrayal I had never seen coming. My lawyer, a seasoned professional with over 40 years of experience, admitted he had never encountered someone who managed multiple affairs with such precision. I wasted no time signing the divorce papers. I also rented a furnished apartment and spent the next 5 days moving out, taking only what was unquestionably mine: my personal belongings, family heirlooms, and my dignity. I left the house untouched, just as she had left it, except for the divorce papers I placed on the kitchen table. Meanwhile, the private investigator continued tracking her in Miami. She posted carefully curated photos on social media, showing off what appeared to be group dinners and fun with her friends, when in reality, she was spending every moment with her lover. The investigator even captured her at the airport, bidding a romantic farewell to the real estate agent before emailing the yoga instructor about her eagerness for their next session and texting the client about missing their special bond. When she returned home, she found the divorce papers waiting for her. What followed was a whirlwind of emotions. She called me 17 times in an hour, leaving voicemails that ranged from uncontrollable sobbing to rage-filled threats. She sent texts that swung between denial, excuses, and full-blown confessions. She tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, then blamed me for working too much, and finally admitted everything, accusing me of betrayal for hiring the investigator. But she had no idea that I had already safeguarded our finances and assets. I'd spent years preparing for the unexpected, though I never imagined this would be the outcome. Her carefully constructed double, or rather, triple, life came crashing down. The aftermath was swift and brutal. I ensured that all 3 men were made aware of her betrayal. My lawyer sent each of them a courtesy copy of the divorce documents, which detailed her affairs with dates, times, and photos. The yoga instructor, who turned out to be married, faced the wrath of his wife, who also received a copy. The real estate agent's employer learned he had been conducting meetings at clients' homes, jeopardizing his career. And the so-called client, a local business owner, faced disciplinary action when his professional license was suspended during an investigation. In the end, my wife lost everything: her marriage, her lovers, her reputation, and the stability she had taken for granted. For 32 years, I thought I knew her, but it turns out I didn't know her at all. The truth is, you never truly know what someone is capable of, even after decades together. For 32 years, I believed I shared my life with someone I truly knew and trusted. My wife and I built what I thought was an unshakable foundation, rooted in love and partnership. But beneath that illusion was a reality I could never have fathomed, a betrayal so calculated, so intricate, that it felt as though the life I had known was a mirage. When we met in college, we were young, idealistic, and ready to take on the world together. She pursued interior design, and I immersed myself in the fitness industry, eventually managing a chain of exercise facilities. We built a life that seemed perfect from the outside, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and stability. Then came the girls' trip to Miami. It was so out of character for her that I couldn't shake the unease it brought. In 32 years, she had always dismissed the idea of girls' trips, calling them frivolous and unnecessary. Suddenly, she was organizing a 5-day getaway with women I had never even heard her mention. It didn't add up. I couldn't ignore my instincts, so I made a decision I never thought I'd have to make. I hired a private investigator. It wasn't an easy choice, and I wrestled with the guilt of invading her privacy. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. What he uncovered not only validated my suspicions, it completely dismantled the image I had of my wife. She wasn't having one affair. She was juggling three men, all of whom believed they were the only one. To the yoga instructor, she promised a future together once her financial situation improved. To the client, she spun a tale of an unhappy marriage she was preparing to leave. And to the real estate agent, she painted a picture of a romantic escape in Miami that would mark the beginning of their new life. The investigator documented everything. Over 2 weeks, he tracked her every move, capturing photos, recordings, and receipts that told a story of meticulous deceit. The yoga instructor wasn't just helping her find her center. He was hosting her at his condo 3 times a week. The client wasn't in need of interior design services. He was helping her dismantle our marriage. And the real estate agent wasn't networking. He was whisking her away to Miami for a secret getaway. Her lies unraveled before my eyes. She had used our joint credit card to buy lingerie for her trip, leaving the receipt in her car. She had posted carefully curated photos on social media, creating the illusion of a girls' trip while spending her days and nights with her lover. She had orchestrated an elaborate web of deception, and she thought she could get away with it. But while she was enjoying her Miami escape, I was taking control. I met with my lawyer, armed with the investigator's report, and began the process of ending our marriage. I moved out of our home into a furnished apartment, taking only my personal belongings and leaving everything else exactly as it was. When she returned, she would find the divorce papers waiting for her on the kitchen table. Her reaction was as chaotic as her lies. She called me repeatedly, alternating between sobbing, anger, and denial. She accused me of betrayal, claimed the photos were fake, and even tried to blame me for her actions. But the evidence was undeniable. The investigator had recorded every late-night meeting, every hotel stay, every plane ticket funded with our shared money. Word of her affairs spread quickly, especially within our social circle. Friends pieced together the dates and events she had missed while carrying on her double, or triple, life. Her carefully constructed image crumbled. Her interior design firm collapsed as clients severed ties. Our country club, where the yoga instructor's wife was the membership director, became ground zero for the scandal. Every customer canceled. As the divorce progressed, even more came to light. She had been secretly transferring money into a hidden account, preparing to leave me. But she couldn't decide which of her lovers to choose, so she kept them all on the hook. The court took a dim view of her actions, particularly the financial infidelity. Every expense, hotels, gifts, flights, had been paid for with our joint accounts. Her betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was financial. In the end, she lost everything. The real estate agent left her when he realized there was no financial windfall coming. The yoga instructor, now divorced and living with his parents, disappeared from her life. The client's wife, a savvy businesswoman, not only bought him out of their company but also cut ties with my wife's design firm. One night, she showed up at my apartment, intoxicated and in tears. She told me she had lost everything and couldn't believe how thoroughly her life had fallen apart. She had meticulously managed 3 affairs but couldn't sustain the marriage that had lasted 32 years. The last I heard, she was living in a small apartment in a different city, working as a sales associate at a furniture store, a far cry from the life she once led. Her 3 lovers had moved on, and so had I. I sold my share of the fitness centers, bought a beach house, and started traveling, a dream she always talked about but never pursued. I've met new people who know nothing of my past, and I no longer have to explain why my wife of 32 years is no longer in my life. Sometimes, I look back and wonder if I missed the signs. The late-night meetings, the sudden interest in yoga, the networking events, it was all there, hidden in plain sight. But in the end, it was her lies that unraveled her life, not mine. Hiring that private investigator was the best decision I ever made. It saved me from a future built on deceit and allowed me to reclaim my life. While she was in Miami, living her fantasy, I was dismantling the house of cards she had so carefully constructed. Now, I keep the divorce papers in my desk drawer as a reminder of what I endured and overcame. After 32 years of trust and devotion, I never thought my wife would betray me. But she did. And in the end, it was her lies, not my love, that destroyed everything.